Hello everyone and welcome to game, I believe this is going to be a King of the Hill, Messiah versus now Sia, and Messiah has been playing some really great games and he's been beating a lot of Terrans, so we'll see if this continues to hold true. If Sia is watching the King of the Hill matches, he knows that he has to expect burrowed banelings. Now, as burrowed banelings are been so effective and such a strong unit for him in this matchup so far. Now, taking a look at the map, for some reason the name of this map has temporarily escaped me, and at the same time it was all in Korean, so I couldn't read it. But this is a 3-player map, or a 3 spawning location map for a 1v1. So both players are not going to know where the other player, or both players should know where the other player is as soon as they scout in one direction. As soon as they scout here, they will know that the opponent is finally in that final location. Sia spawning as the red Terran player at the 11 o'clock position. Meanwhile, Messiah spawning as the blue Zerg. We'll see what the strategies will be. So far, it looks like it's going to be your standard supply depot followed by a barracks on the front door. Taking a look at what Messiah is doing, Messiah perhaps going to be scouting out with this drone, or is he is setting up a hatchery with this drone. A probe just sitting right there. This drone will perhaps activate the Zelnaga tower that is in the center of the map for not very long, and then it does disappear as it burrows itself after the 7-minute mark in the game. Command center still training up more and more SCVs. Sia looking to go into that standard 13 or 14 gas. And we'll see if Sia gets a supply depot down in time. No, he does not. And Messiah is going to get a free look around on the inside of the base and pretty much see everything he needs to see. He knows that gas has been placed down, so he knows that Reactor Hellion is pretty much the only true option for harassment that Terran has at this stage in the game. You can take a look at the front door area location here. The ramp is rather wide, or the choke point is rather wide, so it will take one spine crawler and perhaps an evolution chamber in order to close it off and make sure that Hellions do not run by. There is an easier to take third base over here that is far away from your opponent. We'll see if that will be established as this game gets underway. Factory now being placed down. Is an SCV going to try to establish a bunker? No, it does not appear so. The SCV just dancing around now, trying to get up the ramp. He wants to get a bit of scouting information. No, is going to go for that bunker, and the bunker is down just as the drone tries to make its way over. Now Sia, if he's smart, is going to try to continue to dance around with this SCV, and as long as this SCV stays, oh nope, it is not going to work, as the SCV now forced to retreat. But he did at least force a lot of drones to stop mining for a little bit of time, which does help. A lot of the reasons why you do that early harassment is not just because you want to get Marines inside a bunker and perhaps really put down a lot of pressure. You want to force the stopping of mining on drones and force a little bit more micro from your Zerg opponent. Now Messiah is going for double queens off of these 2 hatcheries. He is getting metabolic boost already, and it looks as though he is even in terms of he is even in terms of the worker count, as we now see a command center being placed down at the low ground. Zerglings dancing around the center, as that Zelnaga tower will be falling off in just a moment. Zelnaga towers like this with a timed life really benefit Zerg, I think. In the early portion of the game, Zerglings are able to easily control that Zelnaga tower without a very heavy investment. Later on in the game, though, Terran players really like using those Zelnaga towers with siege tanks. Those siege tanks very powerful, very strong, as they can see their full 13 range and deal damage. No blind side there, as we're now going to see a Hellion perhaps try to make his way inside the front door. The Hellion, however, going to go battling up against a queen. There is one spine crawler already being placed down, a second spine crawler being added as well, but we do see double queens on the low ground. A third queen is at the main base hatchery, and now 4 Hellions going to try to go up against 2 queens. These Hellions not going to be all too successful, though, as you can see some damage being absorbed by that spine crawler there. But now we see Zerglings making their way inside the front door. Are they going to be able to get inside? It looks like yes, they are going to be able to, as no, they're not going to try to go in after the Hellions are trying to finish up some of those Zerglings. One low hit point Hellion able to drive by, able to stick around and stay alive, as we now see Zerglings just getting torched and torched. One very low hit point Hellion should get repaired, returned back home. And now all Messiah is doing is forcing these Hellions to not harass by harassing with Zerglings of his own. But another thing that it is doing is it is allowing Messiah to build creep tumors and a creep highway, as the creep highway is very effective. There's that evolution chamber that I was talking about moments ago, making it so that the choke point is a bit more narrow. Hellions now apparently going to try to retreat again. We do see a bunker now being established, and perhaps we'll see another building here so that units will be forced to run around this orbital command in order to deal any serious damage. So far, Overlord has been destroyed. It looks like this Zergling may get destroyed as well. Only a little bit of superficial damage on that bunker, as we now have the Hellions able to take down, almost able to take down, yes, able to take down that last creep tumor there right before it burrowed. And now the Queens are going to go after these Hellions, but the Spine Crawler still acting as a very, very strong natural defense, as the Queens are now dancing with Hellions. The Queens, however, off creep are not going to be able to do very much, as we now see that one Queen does go down. And is the second Queen going to go down? No, just denying creep tumors instead. So Sia doing a good job denying creep tumors, as we now see a new strategy coming in from Messiah in terms of roaches. So far in the series, I have not seen, or so far in these games that I've cast today from Messiah, he has not gone for roaches, really gone for burrowed banelings. And now this evolution chamber is taking a lot of damage, and we'll see if there's any true loss here. The evolution chamber so far up to down to 400, 500 hit points, has lost 250 hit points so far, and now the Spine Crawler was able to get off one quick impale. Hellions now making their way over to the right. We'll see that a hatchery is being built in an attempt to take it down. The hatchery, as it is being built, the Hellions will just be able to perhaps slow or just deal a little bit of damage. No, it actually looks like the hatchery is taking damage over time slowly, and as soon as that hatchery is completed, it will then start to fall even more quickly. We'll see what's going to happen here, as now there are banelings coming in from Messiah. Messiah looking to perhaps do a front door bust, and that is going to be the exact thing that the doctor ordered, as now we see roaches coming back over. Zerglings, banelings, and roaches going to be charging in, and Messiah looks to deal a lot of damage here. Marines and Marauders are back down over here. What is going to happen, as there is one changeling on the front door? Marines inside that bunker, SCVs and Marines, where are they going to go? The banelings don't have a really good target as of yet. Roaches battling up against Hellions. Banelings destroying multiple SCVs here, as now we have a liftoff, and Sia taking heavy losses. The Zerglings look to destroy perhaps all of these supply depots here. It looks like, yes, Zerglings will be making their way inside the mineral line, but more importantly, banelings will be, and there you go, multiple SCVs have been destroyed. However, we are getting a bit of a strong counterattack. Sia does have Marines. Banelings are now making their way down. 3 Marines now trying to make their way in as well. Overlord's drones now coming off the mineral line. Banelings, 1 goes down, 2 goes down, but not a lot of units are getting killed, as the Marauders and the Marines are still trying to fight back over here. Queen now battling up, but in comes a swarm of Zerglings, and even with 2 medevacs, all of these Marines and Marauders are not going to be able to survive. Roaches now going up against this mass Marines. Looks like the Marines are going to be able to win out just because they do have superior numbers. And a little bit of a reset here on both sides, as we are now at 60 food compared to 43. Zerglings perhaps trying to do a surround here, deciding against it as a siege tank arrives to the party. And now mass mules coming in from Sia. Harvester count is 40 versus 14, but because that orbital command was in the air for so long, he was able to drop in 5 more mules, but he's still not going to be able to replenish his workers as quickly, as he can only train up 2 workers at a time compared to Messiah's 5 right now, as we should be getting perhaps a queen off at this hatchery. Zerglings now trying to come in, get a surround on these Marines and these Marauders. It looks like it is successful so far, as the medevacs are now out of energy. The Marines and the Marauders may just all fall here, as the Zerglings just watch them leave. Siege tech not being added yet. Sia trying to spend his resources as quickly as possible. He does have a 3rd orbital command, my apologies. So 3 orbital commands, 5 mules. 5 mules now going to go down to 3 mules, but able to train up 3 SCVs at a time, as Messiah is now running on 3 bases. Harvester count 43 compared to 25. Definitely in favor of Messiah so far, and we'll see another round of drones come in from Messiah. helping his worker count. We are going to be going into a drop into the main base straight up. The Marines and the Marauders right there. Messiah, does he spot it? Yes, he does spot these Marines and the Marauders, and here they go. The Marines and the Marauders trying to battle it up against a Queen. The Marauder does, not sure if it has concussive shell. I wasn't really able to click on it fast enough, but let's see. No, it does. No, it did not. So it really looked like that Queen was able to move around much more freely. Overlords are in position. The Marines are going to be dropping down over here, but in comes the Banelings and the Zerglings. The Marines need to get picked up. Are the Banelings going to find their target? No, the one Marine, and now the Overlord or the Marauder now just backing off again, as we are now looking to perhaps do a very, very large push. This push is going to be effective. Perhaps siege tanks and siege on the low ground, if they actually had siege tech. That is the critical missing ingredient in this location now, as we now see a quick scanner sweep, making sure that there are no Banelings anywhere to be found. Siege tanks now ready to go. 1 siege tank, 2 siege tank. Infestors out coming in, and there's the fungal growth. Infestors now going to be able to take down all of these medevacs, and Sia, what looked to be a very, very promising attack, now getting absolutely destroyed, as the siege tank now down to 7 hit points. There's a fungal growth taking down the rest of the units. 1 Marine able to survive and bring home, nope, unable to bring home the siege tank, and unable to bring home himself either. Sia is upgraded 1-0 against eventual 1-1 Zerglings, as those Zerglings are just now starting their upgrades. Harvester count 52 compared to 44, so Messiah still not able to get into that comfortable zone, but he is harvesting off of 6 geysers, and with 6 geysers he should feel fairly confident, as now Sia comes in for another drop. Zerglings now coming back around. It looks like the Marines will be dropping here in just a moment. Here we go. The Marines are dropping straight in between a mineral patch and the extractor, minimizing their surface area, as the Marines are looking to perhaps take down the hatchery. Not successful there, as Sia now able to pick up all of his units. The hatchery is being established in the center portion of the map. There are no spine crawlers here though, as the medevac will get scouted out. Zerglings now trying to make their way over. The Marines, if they try to unload, will simply just get destroyed, and there is a medevac with fungal growth to boot, and the infested Terrans need another shot. It looks like the medevac does get shot down, as the infested Terrans do have a range of 5. A new drop now coming in over here at the natural expansion. It's going to get cleaned up very quickly, medevac and all. Messiah still in a very, very strong control of the game so far, even though the food count is relatively close. Let's take a look at the losses. Messiah just feels like he's been able to handle Sia's all his harassment so far, and mentally that is going to start taking a toll. A second fungal growth finally coming in. The infested Terrans dealing so much damage again, as we now see Marines coming back over once more. Fungal growth, a lot of Marines getting destroyed here. We'll see what's going to happen next as Zerglings now make their way in. Zerglings trying to destroy multiple units. Siege tanks now getting Siege tanks taking a little bit of damage, as the siege tanks may be able to take down an infestor or 2. There's a fungal growth. There are 3 Banelings here, but now we are going into some infested Terrans, and it looks as though, yes, Messiah is pretty much out of energy on those infestors, forced to return home. The infested Terrans perhaps could deal some damage against the orbital command. The time life not really doing much in the short time that they lived. They should have been trying to actually shoot down something, as opposed to just standing there and watching. 10 Banelings now coming in. We see Marines going to perhaps try to clean up this hatchery off over here. We do have a Queen at the bottom right hatchery now, as the medevac and Marines now attempting to take down this hatchery. Fungal growth hits some of those medevacs, and it looks as though the rest of these medevacs will once again be destroyed. And Sia now down by about 30 food. Things not looking good. You can see Sia still is in this game, but one bad engagement and it could be all over. Changelings now making their way in, and these changelings just hiding off over here, not going to be spotted on the minimap. Sia has to be pay very close attention in order for those units to be scouted out. And oh, they were scouted out, so nicely done there, as Banelings are now going to be perhaps rolling in once more into the mineral line at the 3rd base. Banelings destroying Marines instead, and also dealing a lot of damage to those Marines. Now, as we are still looking at Overseers and perhaps Zerglings hiding off in the mineral line. This quick scanner sweep destroying the rest of those Zerglings here, And still, Sia not too shabby, even though it feels like Messiah has been in dominant control of the game. Resource, food, and overall army sizes have been fairly even. Harvester count 58 to 53. Medevac now forced to back off, jump up onto the high ground. An Overlord looks like it will get taken down. An Overseer of Messiah just sitting on top of a barracks. Perhaps it's waiting for a Contaminate in order to slow down the production. The Contaminate, though, is 125 energy, so that will take quite some time. Medevac now dropping one Marine down here on the low ground. More Marines trying to come in, and more units getting destroyed. Banelings not... Oh, that's really bad exchanges there. 2 Banelings for a Marine. I know most Terran players would gladly do that all day, as we now see 2 Medevacs without anything inside the main base. Zerglings getting over there. We see a Greater Spire and now armor upgrades coming in with Broodlords. Vikings are being trained once more, as we still see the Overseer sitting here by Messiah, not even pneumatized carapace for a quick getaway if he wanted, and Sia now looking to establish this 12 o'clock expansion, but perhaps it should be upgraded to a planetary fortress to make sure nothing tremendously bad happens. Fungal growth plus corruptors equals 2 dead Medevacs. Medevac now down to 5 hit points. There it goes. We're going to see more Marines push in, able to take down one Queen here, as those Zerglings now swarm in again. The Corruptors finishing up many of those units. The Medevac down to, still at full life, but I believe Corruptors could be on their way. Yes, 2 Corruptors making their way over to that Medevac now, at least to deny some scouting of some sort, as we now see a drop inside the main, but Sia just getting easily handled. Infestors, multiple fungal growths. Medevacs now attempting to run away, as we already are at a Greater Spire. Greater Spire down to 400 hit points approximately, but it looks like it is still fairly safe, as the Queen now coming back over to tend to her hatchery. Overseer now inside the base with maximum energy, as we now see a large Corruptor Broodlord army engaging in the center. There's the fungal growths. The fungal growths really doing a lot of damage to those Vikings. And now the Corruptors are trying to finish it off. The Broodlords, 5 Broodlords, not a massive army of Broodlords, but it still looks to be fairly successful, as the Broodlords are pretty much going unchallenged at this stage in the game. Vikings now trying to make their way over. It looks like the Infestor is going to go for some Infested Terrans. Here we go. The Infested Terrans, one Viking is being forced to retreat now, but the Broodlords are still causing problems for these siege tanks and these Marines. 1 Viking left in the air. Corruptors now quickly making their way in. It looks like that last Viking down to 6 hit points will not get destroyed, as the Corruptors getting a little bit too close and now taking damage from the bunker. No, bunker now going after Broodlings instead of those Corruptors in the air. Fungal growth could be coming in. Nope, not enough energy for it. But Zerglings and SCVs will always have Zerglings win out in that front, as we now see one of those Broodlords finally get destroyed. 2 Vikings now trying to pull away, a little bit of kiting there. And now in comes another engagement. We can see that the Vikings are trying to back away from those Infestors. Infestors could land off some important fungal growths. Here comes some Infested Terrans instead. And this is going to be a slow but steady push, as Sia going to lose his 3rd base, but still has his 4th base operational. Vikings and Marines deciding to back off. We see more Marines and siege tanks being added. That Overseer still annoying me, not really being utilized by Messiah. Messiah so far has been playing a great game and utilizing almost every play in the book for Terran versus Zerg that is standard meta play, and the fungal growths with Broodlords playing beautifully, as Messiah's attack move army was absolutely brilliant, as Sia says GG. Messiah takes his 3rd game for a hat trick. And now moving on to the final game in the King of the Hill series, we'll see how Messiah does. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.